Hi, welcome to the virtual release party for The Shadows Glow. This is easily the biggest crowd I've ever had at a reading, so thank you again for that. I'm going to read the first two chapters of this illustrated short story, but first I'd like you to know that it was inspired by Thurber's The 13 Clocks and Hans Christian Andersen's The Shadow. And now why don't we get right down to business here. Chapter 1. Baron Atambulo's Castle. Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Glome, lived Baron Notambulo. His spiked castle spires overlooked his lands the way a nightmare might consider a child. Inside or out of this cracked stone facade, darkness reigned with the same cruel fist. This suited the Baron well, for his very being consumed light with a maelstrom's thirst. His eyes hypnotically wrapped his victims in a python grip so tight he could dispense with them at leisure. His laugh was a garden rake on a window pane, and when he got to the chortling part, well, we won't go into that because we wouldn't want anyone soiling himself. Baron Notambulo's darkest corner of his being was his shadow. So velvety black, it was easily visible in the dead of night. But just because the shadow was dark, this did not make it evil. What this shadow was restless, and at the moment stuffed under the bedclothes attached to two particularly stinky feet. As the Baron's nightmares circled the chamber like so many bats, the shadow eased out of bed. Silent as a cloud slipping over the moon, it cast itself across the chill floor, keeping to the walls and contours of the furniture and bookcases, well out of the way of the dreams. How they howled and gibbered! How the Baron's face creased in delight! After rustling through the Baron's daily journal, correspondence, and writs, its nightly custom, the shadow was drawn to the window, where it gazed longingly over the Baron's barren lands to the rivers, forests, and mountains beyond. If only I could slip the shackles binding me here, the shadow thought, then I would catch hold of the wind to seek my fortune. But how? Had it been apparent, the shadow would have done a runner ages ago. Chapter 2, Princess Ipomia. Which brings us to another Once Upon a Time. Just one over from our current Once Upon a Time, and quite a bit closer if you take Main Country Road 1 and then exit onto the Back Country Road Expressway. Here lived Princess Ipomia. Her laughter was like sleigh bells over sparkling snow, her hair like honey in morning light. But she was best known for her cheery inner glow. Being lovely and glowy was a wonderful thing. However, it did have its drawbacks. One being the number of unwanted advances it occasioned from random strangers and wandering princes. Happily, Princess Ipomia had palace guards to deal with that sort of thing. Her dungeons were packed to the rafters. Sadly, many of those hearts were broken, like wings plucked from a moth longing for the merest sight of a slivered moon. Ipomia did not know the power of her loveliness, and Ipomia did not care. She was content in her life of study, managing the king's affairs, and the more than occasional glance in the mirror. The second drawback to her loveliness was this: sleep did not come easily when one's eyelids were lit from beneath. Ipomia sidestepped this each night by removing her inner glow, stuffing it alongside the gazunder, then, with her chamber suitably dark, slumbered dainty breaths equal to any lumber mill's saw. Inner glows typically snooze more than restless shadows, requiring a certain amount of beauty sleep, but this one found it impossible. It spent each long night vibrating from the sounds above and tossing uncomfortably on the hardwood floor. It thirsted for some brave prince who was not too forward and creepy to come and sweep it off its glowy feet. To the inner glow's deep distress, this no sleep and no prince business went on for ages. So one night, when the moon was particularly full, the glow took matters into its own hands. So those were the first 2 chapters. I hope you drop by chrislincoln.org and order yourself up a book. And if you like it, please share my website with your friends and have them come and get a book too. Thank you so much.